I'm going to go right into some Prussian blue, some titanium white, not much, just a little teeny bit of red. That's about right. And I'm going to come up and paint in a soft little sky, a little more blue than that. I hate to say green, I almost want a feeling of a tinge of turquoise in the sky. And yes, that is possible. Actually, turquoise in the sky is a thing. Just not vibrant, bold green, but a light turquoise is okay. Take some white, yellow ochre, Hansa yellow, and just right in here, I'm going to layer in. I need a little more white, a little less yellow. I'll layer in a few of these little fluffy clouds. Fluffy clouds, there we go. Boom. They're gonna be fairly subtle, aren't they? Take some red. See, as I work away from, go up a little higher with that one there, boom. As I work away from that left, the light's coming through like this, so as I work away from that left side, I want my clouds to get just a little deeper and darker in color, like so. And I kind of have there, those thunder clouds right along that horizon, so it's just kind of pretty. So now I'm going to take a filbert brush. I'm going right through some blue. Any leftover clear gel should be okay. I'm not going to get into that pile of clear gel. You could take it off the palette if you want to. I'm going to leave it on just in case I want it later. Anyway, I'm going to take some red, white, blue, and a little bit of my yellow. Mix that in. And see, I like to mix my color with my color here. And that creates just a nice color harmony across the painting, you might say. Kind of pretty. This is just color number 1, and I think it's going to go right here. Is it? Yeah, it is. That's about right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a series of little mountains that are protruding out from what's going to be a misty base layer. So, well, it's kind of pretty. Look at that. I just love the yellow. It's not creating, I've got the red in there, so it's not really creating too much of a, it's kind of grayish, but it's not creating a green, but it almost has that feel of turquoise. Almost feels like the sky to me almost feels a little antique looking. This whole painting might feel antique, you know what I mean? In a good way. That's cool. Now this is where it gets a little different because I'm going darker now to hit this mountain. You're like, why is the mountain that's further away darker than some of this? Well, it's because it's going to be poking out of the mist. And as it's poking out of the mist, it's going to be quite a bit lighter, or darker, you know, as it pokes out of the mist. Oh, I like that. Do whatever kind of a shape that makes you happy. And see, it's going to go back into the mist here, and back into the mist here. And so it's going to work like that. Boom. I'm going to switch brushes really quick. I'm just going to get some of my color that I had previously going. Mix up a little more. See, it's all kind of mushed together, and that's okay. There it is. But right in here now, no, I don't want to do too much there yet. I just basically need to focus right here where it's going to be coming out of the mist. And it's a little bit of a slow portion of the painting, but the painting process will speed up here in a moment. There it is. But again, just kind of softer at the bottom and much, much darker. So I've got one brush for light, one brush for dark. That helps. You don't have to, but it does help. Okay, there you go. Let's get this done. This is a little bit different. I'm going to take some white. This is just my dirty white, because why not? It's there, it's available. I'm going to take some yellow ochre. It's a pretty color. White. Okay, a little more white. A little more yellow ochre. And a little Hansa yellow. Okay. That looks good to me. It looks good to me for the background right here. I'm just going to start in the background, and I'm going to underpaint. I need a little, well, it's actually kind of pretty. I'm going to add just a little bit more yellow ochre, not much. I'm going up to about that point, and as I come down, so I'm just underpainting this little triangle here. As I come down, I want my colors to get more saturated in tone. So for that, I'll add more yellow ochre, more Hansa yellow, a little tinge of our leftover bluish purple. There we go. Now this is not all there is to this area. I'm just getting in the tones, and I want to make this a marble mix. Don't want to over mix this, so that I've got some green, yellow ochre, Hansa yellow, not too much Hansa yellow, more yellow. Ooh, that's so dark, that's all right, I'll mix it in. Just scrape it away, mix the rest in. And then I'm back to my blue. See, there's no necessarily right or wrong, I'm just trying to make sure that I've got a good variation in here. And now as I go down a little further, I want it to be more and more. That color would have been better down here. More and more of that saturated color, also darker. So I'm gonna start to add some sap green, burnt umber black, yada yada. There you go. Yeah. And I'm going to start bringing in some of these shrubs and tropical. This is to me more of a tropically, who knows, maybe some sort of a Pacific, I don't know. I don't have anywhere particular. This is, but I'm sure, oh, believe me, I'll have plenty of people messaging me telling me, oh, this looks just like, and fill in the blank. And that's awesome. You guys always do that. So that's cool. You can, no matter what you paint, you could paint outer space and somebody will say, oh, that looks like my backyard. There you go. So there you go. Let's go over here. Okay, and I'm just working in, it's been a long time since I've done a painting quite like this. I'm just working in some of these tones. And again, I'm just going to scrub with this darker color and just add some various shadows like that. All right, now I'm thinking about working over here on these cliffs next. You don't have to do that next, but I think I'm going to. I'm going to take some yellow ochre, some red, some burnt umber. Now, do I want any purple in this? Just a little. I put a little bit of blue in it. Of course, the red and the blue make purple. And then the yellow ochre. To me, yellow ochre and purple together are so, so pretty. A really good combination. And I'm going to begin to paint in some of these cliffs. I'm going to just a teeniest bit cooler. But you see, I leave that warm spot and I go just a teeniest bit cooler over here. There we go. Again, when you're doing this, you don't want to use your Hansa yellow. You want to use the yellow ochre, which is kind of that brownish yellow, because that's the one that mixes, when it mixes green, it's not very intense. And so I can, do it with these colors. If I put Hansa yellow in this, I would just end up with bright foliage green. And then you'd have a cliff face that's covered in trees instead of rocks, which is not what I'm going for. Burnt umber here. Burnt umber right out of the tube is okay. It's not great for this because we want the atmosphere, so I gotta continue to add more of my purpley tones. Ooh, more blue. I'm gonna leave that a little darker. There it is. Purpley tones. Scrub it in. I'm just trying to get kind of a dark brownish gray. And I'm going to slide that right there. Good. And I might take some of that same brownish gray. And then I actually see a little bit of a bluish hint up in here. Could be nice. And let's do it again. It was nice. I liked it. Let's do a little bit more of that bluish, purpley tint on that one. Oh, let's do it right here. It's pretty. I like that. Okay, good. Now we'll stop right there. Let's go over to the left side. I'm going to go with just dark red, green, blue. Let's start with just red, green, and blue. And I'm going very, very dark at the top. And this is going to be my close-up tree. We're getting pretty close. We're starting to see individual things. Covering up all my unfinished work. That's good. There we go. Okay. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that's kind of pretty. Now, I'm actually going to go back into more of my green tones. For some reason, got a little purple there. There we go. And then a little bit more blue. But you see, every time I hit that palette, I'm changing my colors. And that is making a big difference. Now comes the fun part, the shop towel. So I get a shop towel, and you know, sometimes you want to fold it up into a nice little shape. Paint on my arm, but I'm gonna crumple it for this step. Sometimes you fold it depending on what you're doing. Don't fold it, crumple it. Because if you look at that, you can see you're gonna have good texture. I see 1,000 little trees and leaves in there. So I'm gonna start right here, and I'm just gonna dabble it like this. Just dabble it, touch, touch. And what that does is it removes any slippery, wet paint sitting on the surface of the canvas, and it leaves what's trapped in the weave of the canvas where it won't mix as much with the highlight color. Very important. And it also smooths out the texture. Again, that's the reason you crumple it. Now we're going to direct our attention actually back to the mountain from earlier. The one way in the back. I'm going to take the teeniest little bit of yellow ochre, white. I was going to get some red. I don't really know that I'm going to add much of any red into it. Mostly yellow ochre and white. A little teeny touch of burnt umber, perhaps. That would look good there. I'm just trying to get a soft and warm, rocky highlight color, not too much, not too much red or anything, or to pull it too forward. So I'm just going to place in a couple, not many, but just a couple of strokes of light. And you can see what that's doing for me. It's getting just a very, very subtle effect of a glow on that, a little bit of a highlight. That's nice. It's not anything too critical, and I'm certainly not going to go and paint the whole thing in. Just going to hit it here and there. You'll lose the effect of distance if you go and cover it all, but we'll let that be shadow over there maybe. And any kind of peaks or shapes that you want to refine, well, you can do that right here. I like what that did, so I'm going to take a little bit of red and blue on my 1/4 inch flat brush and a little bit of our yellow ochre, not much. Red, blue, white, yellow ochre. I'm going to get, this is, if you remember, my color for my background mountains, and I'm going to darken some of these background mountains like so. Not real drastic, just the peaks of them, and maybe like right here. Just grab a filbert brush. Won't take more than just a minute or two on this. It's going to take a little bit more bluish purple mixed with a little mud. And I'm not going everywhere on these. I'm just kind of going, well, it's not quite blue enough. See, when you're working with subtle colors, just the tiniest little change. But I just want to pop out a little bit more detail on a few of these little mountains. I'm going to take a 3/4 flat brush, and I'm going to take some white and some yellow ochre, white and yellow ochre, and a little teeny touch of red. I'm going up to these cliff faces that are a little closer, and so that red is definitely going to be a good thing. Now, I wiped those away, I think, with a shop towel, did I not? Or no, I didn't, I just dabbled. I can't remember. I'm going to wipe the cliff face areas away with the shop towel, because having too much paint on there will cause problems. So I'm just going to, anywhere I want to highlight, I'm just going to wipe it off, like so. And there you go. Setting me up for some success instead of mud. I like success over mud any day. Let me go ahead and just hit some, oh, look how well that sticks. If your paint doesn't stick, it's because you got too much paint underneath. So you can either thin the paint down, which could cause problems, muddying and whatnot, because it becomes really, really easy to overwork it when it's thin. Or better yet, just take and wipe off the background. It's a lot safer because it's a lot harder to overwork it. There we go. Just bringing in some of these textures. See that? You could do this with a palette knife. You could do this many different ways. I'm just showing you one way to do it. Just taking the brush and kind of stabbing like so and creating various textures. Now, it would be easy to just go like make it look like a field of grass or something ridiculous. So I'm gonna do, I do want it vertical, but I'm gonna do slightly different strokes. See, like that, to just change it up, because otherwise, yeah, it totally could look like grass or something silly, you know, with vertical lines being overdone. Now I'm gonna take those same colors. We've already got them mixed and they already look good, so let's apply them right over here. Look at that big old rock face that just hangs right over. Oh, that's gonna be good, and pushes all that back. Wow. Okay. There's another one. Oh, that's got a lot of yellow in it. Should I keep it? Don't know. I actually think I will. It's kind of pretty. Sometimes your mistake colors are the best thing that happens, you know? There we go. It's just due to not mixing my paint very well. There we go. So I want these like jagged shapes like this. Okay. I'm gonna add just, again, a teeniest tinge of clear gel. Kind of don't have to, but it makes it a little faster to paint with. I'm gonna take my dark colors, just brown and black, dark, and I'm going to begin to sculpt this edge. I need this to be as dark as I can get it, high contrast. We can add purple shadows to this later, but I want that high contrast. Actually, I'll throw purple in the mix. I don't know if it's gonna do much, but I'll do it anyways. Purple is always welcome in the shadows, in my paintings at least. And basically I'm just gonna paint by number, fill it in. You know what I mean? Just fill it in. Fill in the empty spaces. Down here, I'm gonna bring in some beautiful, fluffy, tall, wild grass, like so. Hit some more yellow ochre and just throw it in. Literally, I'm trying to go kind of more or less one layer grass. More or less one layer. This painting is not about the grass, and it's certainly not about the foreground. So do what you want. If you're like, I can't paint grass that way. Okay, paint it the regular way. I don't think we need much. I'm going to darken it now. Some yellow ochre, red, some nice rusty tones. I'm just crunching up from the bottom, just to create some shadows or something in that grass. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight the rocks. So to do that, I'm just going to take some white and my same leftover colors, or just yellow ochre mostly, a little Hansa yellow and red perhaps, but just mostly yellow ochre and white. Mostly white, really. And a little clear gel, just 'cause I've been doing that. It's not really doing much, but just a little. And of course our light's kind of coming through. It is being blocked by these mountains, but here it's not blocked. The reason it's not blocked is that we've got to have some highlight here, you know? Can't have it all blocked. There, boom. Okay, then a little bit here. And here, again, if this doesn't work, you need to wipe off the canvas. Get that slippery wet paint off of it, and then it should work just fine. And I've also got more paint than brush. I've got a lot of paint in that brush. And if you don't have enough paint, it just will come out really, really muddy. You know, it's just gonna mix with what's there. You gotta have a lot of paint in the brush. There we go. Lots of paint. The other thing you can do too, if you have a pile of paint like this, you can take your palette knife, just get up a bunch of this and blob it up. Sometimes that makes it easier to load it into your brush, load the tip of your brush, otherwise you're loading just the back of the brush, and it's kind of annoying. So there you go. I'm gonna take some blue and some red and I don't know what little white I've got left. That's okay. Going with kind of dark colors. And let me see what that does. I'm thinking about over here on the right side, getting some purpley bushes and trees, and you know. Don't you think there should be some sprinkled purple tones? I mean, everything else has it. I think that'll look good. Yeah, there we go. I think it just needed a little bit. Yeah, that helps. Subtle. Now, I think I'm going to go a little, I mean, this is far away, but I think I'm going to go a little darker as well, just to help create a little bit more separation. I think that'll be good. Just finish these purple ones. It just breaks it up and adds that third color. That is so nice to have. Okay. Yeah. I think it looks better. Take some sap green, some black, brown, blue, and red. There you go, all the dark colors. Now, although it looks black and like, oh no, that'll compete with the foreground, it won't, because it's actually going to mix with what I've got up here, and I don't have that much paint on the brush. So I think it'll be okay as I work in some of these final shadows. And these are things you're like, well, I could have done it when I was painting it originally, but sometimes you don't really notice, or the rest of the painting goes in. This is really what it is. The rest of the painting goes in and it changes the way it looks quite a bit. All right, finally time to get around to some trees here. So I'm going to take some red, some sap green, and some yellow ochre, Hansa yellow. Tiniest bit of dirty white there just to lighten it up a little. Really should be lightening with yellow, not white, but oh well. Right up here, I'm going to do some kind of jungly trees. I don't know how big or how small I want them yet. Here's a tip for you: go smaller. If you don't know how big you want them, go smaller. So it's some jungly trees, and they're not all one flat dead color, so I'll put some purple or something else in them, maybe some red. Just change flavor of them a little, not too much red, that was too much, but I'll leave it because that way there, see, I'll have some of that integrated in, and there'll be multiple colors, but that's good. I can't really go darker much because I've got light behind it, or dark behind it, so I can't put light and dark. You know what I mean. This is dark, so I got to have something lighter. Come on now. You know what I meant. Go maybe above that. That one there, see, it could be just lighter. And I'm just making these little jungly trees just with the corner of my brush. And I think, well, what are you doing to make them? I don't know. I'm just using the corner of my brush and just sort of scumbling it in, which is a real art term. You can definitely search it. It is a dictionary word. Okay. Oh yeah, that to me is going to be just fine. Hey, I see a couple trees going down. You see them? They're down here. They're from like off the cliff. Kind of dark, kind of in shadow, but they're there. They're there. But you see, they're a nice different shape than normal. A little more jungly, a little more rounded off. There we go. Yeah, that's it. That is it. Now I'm going to take some more yellow ochre, some Hansa yellow, mud, and I'm going to place a little grass in and around. You're probably wondering where that grass was. You're like, why are you not putting grass? Well, here it is. Here it is. Sometimes you just kind of forget about stuff and then go back in. Sometimes you just don't have time to get to it. And you still go back in. There we go. Now I've got a little cup of oil right here. You can use walnut oil or linseed oil or any kind of oil that you like from the art store. And I'm going to take some of the oil and some of maybe some Hansa yellow, some white, and a little bit of our yellow ochre mix from just a minute ago, really. And I'm going to thin that down just where it begins to flow on the liner brush. I don't want it too vibrant or too bright today. Just enough. I'm going to paint in a few blades of grass here. What this does is helps bring this closer, more foregroundy. Okay, that's good. Not too bright because it will overpower everything. And it's okay if you have the time to go back in and add little teeny bits of grass back here, but it takes a long time. I'm going to darken my mix now, adding some red and brown and green, just whatever. I like to usually just grab whatever's on my palette. I don't typically mix a lot of paint with the liner brush, but you could. I'm going to continue to oh, there it is. That's pretty good. And you can see those colors that we put down just act as a backdrop for the final tones here that I'm adding. I like that. Add a little more red, perhaps, in that mix. Ooh, yeah. So just a few more of those. It just adds something. I don't want the grass like prairie grass, like tall like prairie grass. Probably a little much, but this is nice. I'm going to kind of muddle. And if you get it to where it's like, oh, too much or something silly, fan brush, just go and hit it. Just subdue that grass a little. And I might do the same right here. I might do that. I think one of the last things I'm going to do is just take the fan brush and some yellow, red, yellow ochre, both of my yellows and yellow ochre, red. There we go. Something like that in there. wipe the brush off. And I might just want to, you know, I was talking about punching the grass back in. I might want to punch the grass back in one more time, kind of cover up some of those darker blades, which I think are standing out maybe a little too much. So I just punch it back in. And this is a great exercise. It shows you how free you really are when it comes to painting things like grass and whatnot. You know, you can kind of cover it, change it, work with it. I don't know, it makes that a little bit more interesting. And it takes away, I think the grass, you don't want it to be too forward in the painting. You want to kind of be a little more subdued. And this is not a prairie. Going back to that again, not a prairie. Well, that wraps up this painting for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. It helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.